Hi everyone, Jesse here with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at, and I'll show you how to install the Roadmaster custom fit baseplate on our 2024 Ford Bronco. There's 5 main components to look into when setting up your vehicle for flat tow, starting with the baseplate. That's going to be the structural mounting point for the second main component, which is your tow bar. That's the physical link between both towed vehicle and motorhome. Then we have our diode wiring here. This will send a signal from the motorhome to the taillights of the towed vehicle to keep you safe and legal out there on the road by allowing your turn signals, your taillights, and your brake lights to function properly on the towed vehicle. Then our braking system. This is another thing to keep you safe and legal out there. It's going to help you come to a nice safe stop by allowing your towed vehicle's brakes to help your motorhome stop, so you're not just relying on the motorhome's brakes. And then we have our safety cables here. These are here as a last line of defense in case of a catastrophic disconnect. These will help hold everything together so you can get pulled over safely on the side of the road. Here's a closer look at our base plate. As you can see, it has a few features here. This removable arm here is to connect to your tow bar. This will work with almost any tow bar out there on the market. Currently we're using a Roadmaster, but if you have another brand, feel free to ask us questions so you can figure out what kind of adapter you would need for that. And then we have our safety cable loops here. They're on the outside, super easy to access with whatever safety cable type you have. So I'll get this unhooked just so we can take a look at what it looks like when you're just driving around day to day. Super easy to unhook your tow bar, just unclip it, pull the pin out. And then as I said, this arm is removable. There's a pin here, pull that out, and a quarter turn, that'll come out. So as you can see, whenever that's removed, it's really hard to tell that there's anything aftermarket mounted onto your Bronco. There's actually some factory tow hooks here that hang out a little further, so I really like the way they designed this. It's a really nice, clean factory look. Roadmaster also includes 2 brackets. This one here is for your diode wiring, and this one over here is for your air brakes and your breakaway switch. These are really nice. They have a really nice clean look to them, and they're pretty easy to install. You'll just pop this panel out. There's 2 bolts, and they use those factory bolts to mount it. And when you are ready to flat tow your vehicle, hooking it up is just as easy as taking it off. Just slide this in. You'll kind of feel the spot that it wants to go in by turning it. Quarter turn, that spring-loaded clip will engage. Then we'll hook our tow bar up here, pin it, and clip it. And don't forget your safety cables. That's really all there is to it. If you're looking for a base plate for your Bronco that has a really clean look and is made by a brand that you can trust, you really can't go wrong with this option from Roadmaster. As for the installation, really it's not too bad. These just replace the factory tow hooks, so you'll remove those, put these up in place. There is a side bracket with a handle nut that is kind of in a tight spot. Might take you a little bit, but that's really the hardest part of it. If it's not something that you're looking to do yourself, maybe you don't have the time, the space, or the tools to do so, feel free to check out our dealer locator. If you are looking to get this installed yourself, then just follow along and I'll walk you through the whole process. Also, if you've installed this yourself and you just want to share some tips or tricks with us, or maybe you just want to share some photos of how you have your Bronco set up, please feel free to leave a review or a comment. We'll begin our installation by getting the skid plate out of our way. There's going to be a series of 15mm bolts. These front ones we'll remove all the way. Then these 2 in the back we can just loosen up. And slide our skid plate forward. Now we can pop these plastic covers off. There's going to be some tabs here. You can just push them in and slide it out. We'll remove our tow hooks. There's another 2 15mm bolts. We'll set those aside. Now we're just going to work one side at a time because these tow hooks double as a support for your intercooler. We just don't want to put too much stress on our hoses here while we're working with it. So we'll do one side at a time, starting with the passenger side. Now we'll grab our passenger side base plate. We know this because it's got that hole there for the isolator on the intercooler, and our safety cable loop is on the outside pointed down. So get that up into place. And we'll get it started with those factory bolts. Just make sure to apply some thread locker to them before you get them threaded in. Now we can tighten those down. Now we'll torque those bolts down to the factory specifications. In order to get our side bracket installed, we'll have to enlarge this hole. So I just recommend holding your bracket up, making sure you got the right hole. And then we'll take a 17/32 drill bit and get that widened out. Now we'll get our side bracket in place. I have some red thread locker on our bolts. Just going to loosely install the front bolt for now. So slide that through. Then with a magnet, I'll get our split washer into place. The magnet was fighting me a little bit. It doesn't really matter what method you use, as long as you get that split washer in place. And for our nut, I just have some painter's tape around a wrench. And we'll just get that loosely threaded on there. Now for our larger bolt, you can see I have some red thread locker. So this is going to go split washer, then through our bracket here, and top it off with that thick black washer. And we have to guide it up into that hole that we enlarged. But the tricky part is trying to figure out how to get this nut into place. So you have a couple options. There's a hole here. There is a hole up top where you could run it backwards through this hole here. No matter what hole you use, it's going to be pretty difficult. You do have to finesse it quite a bit, but I'm going to try this larger hole here. Just bend our stick and get that into place and try to thread that on. And once you get that bolt started, don't tighten it down yet. We'll tighten down our two side bolts first. I'll use a 9/16 socket and a wrench. Now we can tighten this down with a 3/4 inch socket. Now we can torque everything down, and then we'll repeat that process on the other side. Once we have everything torqued down, we can take our handle off. Usually you can just wiggle it back and forth and it will break off. For our 6-pole bracket, it's actually going to mount behind this panel right here. So we'll have to get this popped out of our way. It's just held in by some clips, so you should be able to work it out and get it out of our way. We won't be able to fully remove it without unplugging things, but that's fine. We just need access to these two bolts right here. Get a 15mm socket and remove those. So I'm running into an issue where I can't quite get the holes in our bracket to line up with threaded holes behind our bumper here. So what I'll do is just take a burr bit and make these holes just a little bit wider, and that should help us get this to fit properly. I got those holes widened out just far enough so I can get my bolts threaded in, and I'll tighten those back down. I'll reinstall this cover. For our breakaway switch bracket, it's going to mount the same way as our 6-way. Just pop that panel out, and there's 2 bolts behind that, and then bolt on your breakaway switch. This also doubles as an air fitting bracket, so if you have air brakes and you're planning on getting that set up, that's a great place to put your air fitting. But really, that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Roadmaster Direct Connect baseplate on our 2024 Ford Bronco.